Top Illinois politicals descend on the state fair here in Springfield. It's the eve of Governor's Day. Republicans go Thursday. Tonight, a preview. From Springfield, let's get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. It's time for that great annual tradition, the political days at the state fair. Major players in campaign politics and government will be here in Springfield. Tomorrow afternoon, Democrats will rally at the state fairgrounds. Before they do so, the party will gather for brunch. Super consultant Ron Holmes is the organizer of the brunch. We caught up with him earlier today to talk about what to expect and some campaign politics. Ron Holmes, good to see you.
Good seeing you, man.
You know, on The Point, we don't just talk to politicians. I like to go behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And you're a super consultant, so it's really cool to have you on the program.
I appreciate being here.
And we loved your election night analysis when you did that for us at WGN. All right, so Governor Pritzker wrote himself a check, $65 million. What was your reaction?
I think for anyone in Illinois, they know that the governor puts his money where his mouth is. And the governor says that there's a lot at stake in this election that's coming up, right? And so the governor wants to be prepared to help whoever he needs to help. He has an extensive record of doing so. And so I think for the most part, Democrats are okay with it.
Does that quiet dissent? I mean, when you write that kind of money, it's like, all right, the plane is flying at this point. You're either on board or you're not.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago that people were asking him to write more money to candidates. And so I think there's a reality that folks can't have it both ways. We've seen what happens when we don't have party infrastructure in place. And JB, again, is putting his money where his mouth is.
The Harry Benton scandal, I think, maybe knocked Democrats off message for a couple weeks there. Republicans certainly have seized on it. What are people saying in Springfield and Chicago, in the political world, about everything going on?
Yeah, well, look, it's an insider story. And so, Harry is long gone at this point, but the story kind of has lingered out there in terms of what people knew and when. I think for the most part, what we're seeing is a new state rep that's been installed there, also getting her bearings a little bit. I think out the gate, she's been marketed as someone that is a comms professional, and so she's trying to work through this as well. But certainly, look, I think it's been a distraction. It's an unforced error that I think that folks don't want to talk about for a good reason when there's so much at stake.
What you probably want to talk about is this breakfast tomorrow morning. Senator Elizabeth Warren is the keynote. Tell us how you booked her, how that came to be.
Well, I didn't book her. This is, again, where the governor has been a tremendous ambassador for Illinois, as well as Senator Durbin. And so the combination of those two guys, along with Tammy Duckworth, made sure that Elizabeth would be welcome here tomorrow. And she's going to give a pretty progressive record, as she's done time and time again across the country, about what makes sense as we move forward to build out the middle class, but also the things that are going on in Washington that needs to be fixed.
You look around, and when we walked in, there are more tables than I've ever seen. Is it 3,000 people? How are you going to accommodate all this?
3,000 people. This is the highest yielding brunch that we've had in Illinois history for the brunch here, and so we're excited about that. And keep in mind, we've had some pretty big names here, right? Nancy Pelosi's been through here, Pete Buttigieg, all these other folks. Hakeem Jeffries was just here last year, and so people are really excited and fired up at the grassroots level.
A lot of the same, and I'll get to Senator Durbin. I don't want to forget to mention what's probably a send-off for him, but some new faces this time. Margaret Croak is running for statewide office, Christian Mitchell, but it's really the rest are the same roster.
Well, I don't know about that. Look, I think that one thing that Democrats are not getting enough credit for here in Illinois is the turnover that's taken place. Again, we've got two new statewides, but we're also seeing different folks run for different offices right now as well, and so there's a little bit of a shuffle. The congressional delegation is turned over as well, and so we're seeing new faces that are going to be central voices in this party moving forward.
Are we going to hear from some of the new people running for Congress?
You won't hear from the new folks running for Congress, but you will see them displayed vehemently over the course of the show.
And how do you keep this on course? Is there a time limit? Do you need to see the speeches? How does this?
Well, we know that politicians like to talk, and it's an election year, and so there's no shortage of folks that want to offer their thoughts. Every statewide is going to speak tomorrow. You'll hear sound bites as well from different prominent figures across the party, and then hear some voices from outside of Illinois as well.
Senator Durbin.
Yeah.
I guess it's his last one in elected office. What do you have planned for him?
We've got some surprises in store. Senator Durbin is going to be last on our program as a speaker, and so there's a ton of folks that want to thank him for his work, and so we're looking forward to what will probably be a pretty emotional time for not only him, but Loretta, but also a lot of these county chairs that have depended on him over the course of his career.
This is a really great tradition. To everyone gathers here at the State Fair. What's going on? I mean, they're fundraisers, are there strategy meetings? Like, what's happening?
Well, there's always a strategy meeting somewhere, right? Someone always has an idea about something. But the reality is, as we speak today, we're building out the campus here. We're getting out tickets for the brunch tomorrow. But there are several rank and file Illinois politicians that are having events right now, like as we speak. And so they're doing those across the city of Springfield. Party activists are coming from across the state to see them. So our statewides are having events, but also like state reps and state senators are having events. And so organized labor is having events. And so this is a time for folks to come together over the course of these 2 days and, enjoy a little brunch, enjoy maybe something fried on a stick, but also, have those important conversations that you mentioned about what the party looks like moving forward.
Speaking about stuff fried on a stick, head over to the state fairgrounds. What do you know about the program over there?
I don't know much. As always, there's going to be statewide speeches over there along with Governor Pritzker. Everyone always enjoys the tent. And so, again, people kind of come here for their brunch. They get their eggs, they get a little caffeine, and then they go over to the state fairgrounds around noon and hear another set of speeches, but also, have some fun and enjoy, the beer tent and some of the other things that are a little more festive about Illinois.
How ready are Democrats to begin this next phase of the campaign, sort of the Labor Day final sprint?
Yeah, campaigns are getting earlier and earlier, it seems. I think that even now with the school board elections happening, there's a lot of conversations that normally wouldn't happen until the kind of traditional Labor Day time point. But, folks are talking now about how they're positioned, how they're helping people back home as well. And so, look, Democrats are energized. I think even going back to the primary, I think that for the most part, our statewide officials know what they have ahead of them. I think in many cases there are going to be repeat performances, including at the top of the ticket. And so, I know JB and Christian are prepared to face their duo. And then obviously as we move further and further down the ballot, rising stars like Margaret Croke will do very well.
I know a lot of people are already looking ahead to the next election, and that's the Chicago mayor's race. What do you think that energy has brought to Springfield this time, if at all?
Yeah, we'll see tomorrow. I mean, we obviously have 2 statewide candidates that are running for mayor here. I've heard that a couple of local elected officials from Chicago will also be around as well. And so we'll see. Certainly, I think as we closed out the spring legislative session, people were trying to figure out where they were going to be in terms of who they were supporting in the mayoral race. It'll be interesting to see tomorrow who's wearing pins or T-shirts, right, for some of these various candidates that are either statewide today or other folks that have announced back home in Chicago.
There's unfinished business for the legislature. Do you know anything about what's going on with the Bears?
There's always unfinished business for the legislature. That's why we stay in business, right? Look, the Bears is an ongoing saga that I know that you've covered extensively and will continue to cover extensively. I've got no idea kind of what the Bears want to do at this point, and I, candidly don't know that they do either. Their latest reports, of course, say that they're still looking at Indiana. It is clear to me that this is an exercise that may just be exhaustive for a little while, and so we'll see where it goes.
And school funding, I mean, are there people checking their pockets, pulling up the couch, maybe looking for money?
Look, you asked at the top of the program about JB's money. I think that he had a quote saying, he's happy to, turn out the insides of his own pockets to show that you've got to have money to pay for some of these big expenditures. And so, look, as the devastation happens from Washington, as we see federal cuts, there's going to be a lot of things, education, homelessness, housing, human services, all of which are Democratic priorities that need to be addressed. But the question is, where's the revenue?
Ron Holmes, thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
For sure. Thanks so much.
And we're back in 60 seconds.
TV.
Democrats are up first tomorrow. It's their day. Republicans have their turn on Thursday. For the second election cycle in a row, Darren Bailey will be the GOP standard bearer. We asked his running mate, Aaron Del Mar, about what we can expect from the GOP ticket from here at the State Fair.
We're not doing any more gimmicks. We're going.
No tractor?
I mean, he's in Clay County, and Springfield's a little bit far away to be driving a tractor 2.5 hours. But
he did last time.
He did, and I think that's good. I think that people of Illinois need to know that we're ready to lead, we're ready to govern, we're ready to use common sense principles, and we're 2 regular guys. We're not billionaires. We're two guys that are stepping up to try to reform Illinois with common sense 80-20 issues that we're talking about. Affordability, public safety, and education. And you can look at the last 7.5 years, and you can't say that we're doing better now than we did 7.5 years ago. You know, when they talk about, oh, we got 10 credit upgrades, we still have the worst credit rating in the United States. It's like I'm 20 feet underwater and I move 10 feet up. I got news for you. You're still drowning. When you're talking about education, we're graduating kids at the highest rate ever. It's because you've lowered the bar and you're graduating kids that can't read, can't write, and can't count at grade level. And who wants to move their business here for that workforce? When you're talking about safety and the Safety Act, when you have 97 county sheriffs and 97 state's attorneys, including Cook County, which houses Chicago, saying this isn't working and nothing's getting changed, I think people are starting to wake up to it. And this is the time, that they need regular people to govern. They don't need billionaires. They need people that have come through the system and school boards and city councils and state legislatures that actually can govern, can work with other people and make common sense decisions instead of auditioning for president for a 2020 Democratic primary and trying to press people in Michigan and in New York and New Jersey and California. I don't care what those people think. I care about the voters of Illinois think. I care about the people of Illinois think. There are other people out of the state, their opinion doesn't matter to me.
Tonight, a tip of the hat to Obed and Isaac's microbrewery here in Springfield. It's a casual, family-friendly place, perfect for a night out or a power meeting. Journalists from out of town can be found there. The menu suits most palates. The lamb burger was a favorite of former Governor Bruce Rauner, and the former governor was known to buy rounds for patrons at the bar. And that is The Point from Springfield. I'm Tahman Bradley. There's more news tonight at 9 o'clock. We'll see you tomorrow from here. Good night.